Hello everyone, welcome to Code Freshly Juiced, and today we will be taking an in-depth look at all of the looks blocks in Scratch. In our last video, we talked about all of the motion blocks in Scratch and what they do. So, let's get started. First, we have the Say Hello for 2 seconds block. What this does, if you click it, is Scratch over here says hello for 2 seconds and then it goes away. We can change the message to whatever we want. Let's say my channel name, and I'm gonna say subscribe for 5 seconds. So if we click it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes away. So that's what that does. Next is the Say Hello block. This is the exact same as the Say Hello for 2 seconds, except it never goes away. So you could wait for however long you want, it just won't go away. The only way to make it go away is to click the stop icon. Like that. Next is think for 2 seconds. This is the same thing as say hello for 2 seconds, except he thinks it. See the little thought bubble up here instead of a speech bubble? Speech bubble, thought bubble. The think block is exact same as say hello, except again, he thinks it. See? Oops. Subscribe. He just thinks it, and the only way to get him to stop icon. Switch costume to costume 2. If we were to click this, he would change to sort of like a jumping position. Costume 1, he would go back to his original. Costume 2, Costume 1. If you're to make more costumes, let's say if we were to go to costumes, add a costume, surprise, whatever. Whatever. And we could change it now to Jamie walking A. And click it and it would change to that. And if we want to change it to costume 2, back to that. Jamie walking A, and so on. Next is the next costume block. This one just changes the costume that's directly after the one you're already on. So costume A, costume B, Jamie walking A. Costume A, B, Jamie walking A. Next is switch to backdrop 1. The only way for this to work is if you have another backdrop. So if we just get a random backdrop, let's say basketball 1, it would change to this. And we could change it now, basketball 1, and it would change to basketball 1, then backdrop 1, and it would switch back to white. And we could also do next backdrop, and it would keep going forever. Previous backdrop, and it's exactly the same. If you have more than one backdrop, those two do more. And then random backdrop. Again, there's only 2. So those last 3 options don't really do anything if you only have 2 backdrops. Next is the next backdrop block. It's the same thing as switch backdrop, except it just cycles through. So blank, basketball, blank, basketball. Change size by 10. This gets him bigger by 10% every time. It makes him bigger. And it keeps going until it just keeps going. If we make this 100, it goes way faster. Not 1,000, no. 500, let's do 700 and see what happens. No, 535 is the biggest it can go. Next is set size to 100%. Oops. Next is set size to 100%. This one is exactly the same, except instead of raising, actually no wait, we have one more thing to talk about on this one. We can also change size by -10, and he gets smaller and smaller and smaller until he gets to 5. 5 is the smallest size as well. Next is change size to 100%. We can change it to whatever we want. So say 300, and now we click it, now he's at 300. Or maybe set size to 5%, the smallest he can go. Now he's super tiny, right there. Back to 100%. There you go. Next is change color effect by 25. This changes his color by 25%. So if we were to keep clicking this, he would go through all the colors he can be till he gets back to orange. So he can be orange, lime green, dark green, light blue, dark blue, sort of like a bluish purple, magenta, red, and back to orange. If we were to make it a more smoother transition, we can change 25 to 1. Now if we were to click it over and over again, and he would slowly start to change. If I were to go to control, get forever, and wait 1 second, but make it 0.0001, and click it, he's got like a smooth gradient effect on him. You see that? Actually, that looks really cool. Now, the color effect block also has other things, other changes. So we can change color effect by 25, fisheye effect by 25. It's sort of like bloat. We can change that back to negative 25, and then make him back to normal now. Oh no, that's too normal. There, like that. We can do whirl. This is like a swirl almost. He kind of swirls. And we can change whirl to pixelate as well. And it just keeps going and going and going until you can't even tell that he's a cat anymore. Right? So we make it -25 now. And keep going. And now he's getting smaller and smaller, see? And he's starting to take more and more form of a cat again. There's his outline. There's one more. Now he's back to normal. And if you go too far, it just does the same thing again. We can also change pixelate to mosaic. It just adds more and more in there. And if we could do negative, it's less and less. Like that. You can also do brightness. After you click brightness by 25, it does the same, it basically makes him white. And if you do -25, he darkens and darkens until he's just a black couch outline. Finally, you can also change it to ghost. Ghost makes it transparent. Kind of like brightness. And if we were to go backwards, nothing would happen. Next is set color effect. So it's all the same, except you can actually set it to a specific color. So if I want it to be red, I would make it 250, I think. No, it's green. I think it's 1,000. No. 900. No, it's blue. Whatever. 0 is the default. You can also do fisheye, world, pixelate, mosaic, brightness, and ghost, just like the last one. Oops. Clear graphic effects. Clear graphic effects clears everything. So if I were to change his color by 125, fisheye, whirl, pixelate, mosaic, brightness, and ghost, all by 25, and click clear graphic effects, it would all go back to normal. Now the show and hide blocks. Show makes him show, and hide makes him hide. So if I click hide, he's still on the screen, you just can't see him. Show. Right? Hide. Show. Just like that. Now go to front layer and back layer. This only works if you have more sprites. So if we get another sprite, let's say Amen, whatever that says, Amen, I guess. Ooh, where'd it go? I don't see any Amen. Oh, here we go. There he is. And we're going to set him to 0, 0. He's on top of the cat right now. But if we click go to front layer, he's on the front now. And if we go to back layer, he's behind him now. Front, back, front, back, and so on. Just like that. Next is go forward. Oops. Next is go forward one layer. So if we could do, it's the same thing. We go forward and backward one layer, except we can actually change how many layers. So if we have 3 sprites and change this to 3, he would go to the front. If you have 2 sprites, or 3 sprites and change it to 2, he would be in the middle of the first and back of the top and bottom ones. And then 1, he would be at the very bottom. Costume number. So what this does is it tells you what costume number he's at. So if we were to get the costume block, where is it? Yeah, switch costume to Jamie walking. Actually, no, we'll get next costume. So if we were to click the check mark, it would show costume number, and this up here, Sprite 1 costume number. We could move that anywhere. We'll keep it in the top left for now. And if we click this, it tells us that he's at costume 1. We hit next costume, it says costume 2 and costume 2. Next costume, costume 3, costume 3. We can also change the name. So if we were to do next costume, it would say costume number 1, and it would say the name is costume. Actually, we can change this to name too. That's still there, so if we were to click number, uncheck, name. Now it says the name of the costume. So right now we're costume 1. Next costume, costume 2. Next costume, Jamie walking Ed. Next is the backdrop number and backdrop name. So this is the same thing as costumes, except it's for backdrops, obviously. So we could do next backdrop, and it says basketball 1, next backdrop, backdrop 1. This will change it to number. Next backdrop 2, next backdrop, backdrop 1. And finally, size. Sprite 1 size right now is 100, so if we click it, it should say 100. But we can also do this. If we go to control and do if then, to if costume, if size equals 50, then let's do point in direction, make him face directly down. Point in direction 180. So right now I clicked it, but nothing's happening. That's because its size is 100, and if its size is 50. So if we change size to 50 now, he faces down because his size is 50. Set that back to 100, and that back to 90. There we go. So yeah, I just explained every block in the motion category, in the looks category for you. In the next video, we'll do sounds, all the sounds blocks. There's not many sounds. Well, I hope you all enjoy your code, freshly juiced.